Alright guys, here is another video talking about the famous vegan influencer Caroline Dessler. If you have not seen my previous videos on her, I highly recommend doing so. We talked about how Caroline lost her period and got it back. We talked about her diet and whether I think it is nutritionally sufficient for health. We talked about a myriad of other things. But today we are talking about Caroline's big news. So before we get started, please make sure that you like this video. It's a great way to say thank you for taking the time to create the video, to edit it, and to put it out there. And then also make sure you subscribe. If you're someone who is dealing with disordered eating, maybe you lost your period, you've realized you're maybe in an unhealthy relationship with exercise, maybe you're stuck in quasi-recovery from an eating disorder. If you are kind of on that journey of restoring your health after years of restrictive eating and dieting, then this is the place for you, and subscribing would be something that would be beneficial for your health. Okay, so I'm excited to talk about today's topic. So I think it came as a shock to a lot of people that Caroline came out saying that she is pregnant. And I first off want to just get this party started by saying, yes, you can be in a malnourished place and get pregnant. So my opinion of Caroline's diet not being sufficient to really to really be sustainable and to be healthy, that is still an opinion that I highly agree with. I have, over the last 5 years of coaching women in this space, seen people who are still in a very malnourished place get their period back. And I have seen clients who are still, again, in a very malnourished place get pregnant. It's possible, it happens. Is it optimal? No. Is it possible? Yes. And so I first off just want to say that just because Caroline got pregnant doesn't automatically mean that she is the epitome of health. And it's just really interesting because I think that if I showed maybe someone who was on the opposite side here, let's say someone who eating a lot of processed food, all of that, I think if they got pregnant, a lot of the people in like Caroline's, comment section, they would look at that and be like, oh my gosh, that's so unhealthy. Your poor baby, you're hardly eating any nutrients, yada, yada. Like, this is not good, right? Because they innately understand that pregnancy, you need nutrition. You are growing a baby, like the nervous system, the heart, the bones, the skeletal structure, everything of the baby, like you are building from your own reserves. And I think a lot of people will raise red flags if they see a pregnant woman eating, say, chicken nuggets at McDonald's. And I think that a lot of people would have a lot to say about that, as far as like, that's negative, that's bad. But then if someone shows up on a video, which we will watch here in a second, of them just eating pretty much fruit and lettuce all day, all of a sudden they're like, wow, this is so healthy, this is so great. And I just want to remind you that poor nutrition or poor health can be hiding underneath a beautiful big kale salad. My point here is that if you are someone who would view a pregnant woman eating at McDonald's as unhealthy, then you understand that you could be unhealthy and pregnant. Do you get the point that I'm making here? Pretty much, again, I'm just saying that just because she's pregnant doesn't mean that she is healthy. And just for the record, I'm not saying that you can't have chicken nuggets or you can't go to McDonald's and still be a very healthy person. I'm not saying that chicken nuggets are inherently unhealthy. I'm not saying that. I'm simply just saying that if that is your view of that is unhealthy and someone gets pregnant, then you are saying yes to the fact that someone can be unhealthy and pregnant. Again, just proving my point that just because Caroline is pregnant does not mean that she is healthy. And it for sure does not mean that her being vegan during her pregnancy is the smart thing to do. So we're just gonna jump into it. Let's watch Caroline's latest reel of what she ate in a day, vegan and pregnant. So we're gonna watch the whole thing through without me touching it because it's only like 30 seconds, okay? And then I'm going to rewatch it again, stop it, and talk about it.
Here is everything I eat in a day, vegan and pregnant. I start with a celery juice. I have a big juicy honey melon. This is literally the best for your digestion in the morning. I have 2 yummy green smoothies, so many delicious local figs, and 2 apples. I also made some chocolate banana muffins, and then for dinner I had my favorite salad dressing with a green salad, lots of avocado, and some baked potatoes with my favorite yogurt dip. So
okay, so let's go through this. Let me remind you again, Caroline is growing a baby. All right, now let's see if this is sufficient enough for a baby. So the first thing that she does is celery juice. This is such the like classic vegan influencer thing to do. It's akin to the lemon water. Oh, actually, now that I'm reading her thing here, it says what she eats in the day. First thing is lemon water. It looks like she didn't film it here. So she does lemon water and then she does celery juice. The celery juice kind of craze and huge obsession and phenomena kind of started after the book The Medical Medium came out. Celery juice in this protocol is really utilized as a detoxification aid. And I just want to note again that Caroline is pregnant. It's not really the time to be focusing on detoxification. You really want to be focusing on building. Now, your liver naturally detoxifies every single day. It will do that for you. You don't need to go on a detox or do a bunch of specific detox things, especially while you're pregnant. It's just not the right time or place. So while I don't think, obviously just drinking celery juice is like actively harming her, I think it's funny that it's like, that's what she's reaching to when she's pregnant. It's not the thing, like nothing that she's gonna eat here am I being like, figs are bad or celery juice is bad. It's the fact that that's all she's doing, if that makes sense. So sure, if a pregnant woman came to me and she was like, I had, a beautiful 3-egg omelet with lots of like cheese and a glass of raw milk and some sourdough toast with butter and some celery juice, I'd be like, okay, cool, fine. Because she has enough building things in her diet. She has enough substantial nutrition in her diet that, there is nutrition in celery juice. What I'm saying though is that that's not enough nutrition to wake up and eat while you're pregnant. And so that's kind of my little 2 cents about that. Also, please note that Anthony William, the creator of Medical Medium, he literally came into this whole diet because a voice told him to do it. So just, leaving that there. Let's move on to Caroline's day. I gotta find this again. So after her lemon water, her celery juice, she starts cutting up a bunch of honey melon. Let me pause this again here. There you go. She starts cutting up a bunch of honey melon. And so here we are again, pretty much she's had water, she's had celery juice, which can we please just equate that to water with a little bit of nutrition, and then she is now having melon, which is again just really water. Is there nutrition? Yes, but again, it's like this is just it's just not enough. You're pregnant, you're growing a baby, you need protein, you need like calcium, you need zinc, you need B12, you need choline, you need cholesterol, you need all of these things to help build a strong baby. And already just in the first couple hours of the day, I'm just not seeing it here, and that really worries me. If a woman came to me and gave me Caroline's kind of, this is what I ate today, I would look at her with a lot of concern and be like, honey, this just simply isn't enough. And that is, talking to a non-pregnant person. So as a pregnant person, continuing to eat the way that she was eating, that is really worrisome, because our diet should be quite nutrient dense before pregnancy and then during pregnancy as well. And now I think before pregnancy is really important because a lot of women in their first trimester simply can't stomach any food. And so you want to make sure that you're already in a really well-nourished place before getting pregnant and diving into that first trimester, where you quite possibly might just crave crackers all day because you just need to get rid of the nausea. when women come and work with me and I help them get their period back, either they are a one-on-one client or they're in my course, Get Your Flow On, which is designed to help girls get their period back, restore their metabolism, and heal their relationship with food. When they come to me and they want to get their period back with the goal of they want to get pregnant, I always tell them to wait at least a year to get pregnant if they can, just so that they have a year of really making sure that their nutritional reserves are up and that they've been eating well for a long time. That way when they do get pregnant again, it kind of gives them a little bit of leeway if they get really nauseous doing that first trimester and can't really stomach food. So the next thing that Caroline has after this is 2 green smoothies. So again, it's like we're just eating fruits and vegetables at this point. There's really nothing else here, meaning she is lacking in a lot of bioavailable nutrition. And so I talk about this in my course, but I'll briefly mention it here. There's a difference between plant foods and animal foods. I am not someone who thinks that plant foods are bad. I think that they need to be done in moderation, and we need to understand that there are things like anti-nutrients in the vegetables that are going to make it really hard on your system to be able to absorb and utilize all the nutrition that is found in there. So let's take, for example, kale. Kale has, according to Chronometer, a lot of calcium. But what we don't see is that kale also contains a lot of oxalates, and oxalates bind to calcium. Now, oxalates is something that our body cannot process through. And so what happens is we eat a bunch of kale, but the oxalates have already bound to the calcium, pretty much rendering the calcium unusable to our body. So you're eating a bunch of kale thinking that you're getting a bunch of calcium because, again, that's what Chronometer says, but in reality you're not, again, because of the various things that are found in plant matter that hinder the absorption of those nutrients in our digestive tract. Now, when we are talking about a cow that literally has, like, I think 7 stomachs, or goat or sheep or any of those ruminant animals, they have a completely different digestive tract to be able to digest and assimilate, say, all of the nutrients that come from grass and come from plant matter. We have a different digestive tract. We're not able to do the same. And so for us, it is more supportive to literally eat beef and eggs and chicken and all those things because they have digested and assimilated those nutrients properly because of their digestive tract. And so again, it just worries me with seeing a diet that is just like a bunch of greens and green smoothies and things like that is how much of that are you actually absorbing? Also, please note that to get like nutrition from something like kale or spinach, the serving size is usually quite large to get what the RDA actually is. And so you would have to eat, oh my gosh, I had it pulled up here. I think it's, something like, I can actually pull it up in 2 seconds actually. Right here, you would have to eat 33 cups of baby spinach to get the same amount of calcium that you can get from drinking just 8 ounces of milk. 33 cups of baby spinach. That is like bigger than what Fully Raw Christina can add into her salad bowl. Caroline goes on to pretty much just eat a bunch of figs, which the other day I bought a thing of figs and they were really good and I started eating lots of them, and literally by probably like the 7th one, I started like getting a weird feeling on my tongue. Like my body was literally telling me like, stop eating so much of this fruit, like go eat something else. Like you've had your fill, you've had enough. And I just am looking at this like huge plate of figs and thinking just like how my tongue would be. And then she goes and she has more fruit here, and then she does make her banana chocolate muffins. I believe this is just like dates and bananas and some raw cacao, and then like her salad dressing here is literally like, I mean, none of that looks edible to me. That is so many chives in there. And then she pours it just over lettuce with sprouts, and like, yes, she has avocado, that's great. I'm glad she's getting in some fats, and she ends up having some potatoes, which I'm glad she's getting some more carbs in it. But again, she's pregnant. This just like, it just doesn't seem like enough food, and it's not enough nutrition. So I want to bring it over to the comment section now. A lot of people do call it out of like, that's not enough protein, and like, what are you doing? Like, is that enough food for you and your baby? This one person just wrote like, no protein, very little in that diet. And I want to read the responses because I'm like, ugh. Someone responded, she said, you just contradicted yourself, and it's actually more than you'd think. This is from Fruit Felendivores. Am I reading that wrong? Fruitful Endeavors. There you go. This is from Fruitful Endeavors. And she's saying, you just contradicted yourself. And I'm like, how did she contradict herself? She literally said one statement. No protein, very little in that diet. And it's actually more than you think. And here's the thing, it's actually less than you think, and I'm going to talk about that in a second. But someone else responded, and she said, there's plenty of protein in everything we eat. There is not even a medical terminology for protein deficiency. This is where I want to stop right here. I actually did go and like write a little message because I was like, then this is wrong here. There is protein in everything we eat. Okay, sure. If I was going to take a microscope, I can find protein in a lot of different foods. Does that mean that that has enough of the essential amino acids that I need? No. Does that mean that my body can properly digest and assimilate and utilize all that protein? aka, does it mean that protein is bioavailable? No. To rely on salad, figs, green smoothie, celery juice for your protein, I'm just telling you now, would be a mistake. That does not contain the protein that you need. So I want to go over to, I've mentioned him before, I really do like Dr. Chris Kresser, because I think he comes from a vegan background himself, and I think he really just tries to lay it out very clearly as to why this is not going to be a diet that is supportive for human beings. So in this article, which is down below for you to read and dive into if you want to, one of the sections says why plant protein doesn't measure up to animal protein. So let's dive into this so that you guys can have a better understanding of this, so that you're not one of these people commenting on little reels like this saying there's plenty enough protein coming from her one potato and iceberg lettuce salad. So Dr. Chris Kresser in this, it was actually a podcast, I'm reading the transcription. He was talking about the documentary, The Game Changers, which follows a bunch of vegan athletes around. And so he's kind of, going through all the points that they made in the video, and he is discussing them. So it says, John Wilk, protagonist of the film, says a peanut butter sandwich has about as much protein as 3 ounces of beef or 3 large eggs. It was funny because for a peanut butter sandwich to have the same quantity of protein, not even addressing the quality of protein issue, which we will shortly, but just for a peanut butter sandwich to have the same amount of protein as 3 ounces of beef, which is a very small portion of beef, aka that's not like we need more than just 3 ounces of beef for our like daily protein needs. So it went on and said most people eat more beef than that when they eat beef, or 3 eggs. You would have to use 5 tablespoons of peanut butter, which is about 1/3 of a cup. He goes on to say, I don't know about you, but I've never made a peanut butter sandwich with 1/3 of a cup of peanut butter. And for those of you who are tracking calories, that's about a 500 calorie peanut butter sandwich. I mean, this is really disingenuous, and it kind of sets the tone for the film because they play very fast and loose with the science, and they make a lot of misleading statements, a lot of half-truths. A lot of things that for the average person who doesn't have a background in this stuff might pass muster. But when you look into it, you quickly find that it's just nonsense. It's kind of like saying, yeah, you can get the same amount of calcium from spinach than you can get from milk. Well, it's true, but like I said, it takes about 33 cups of baby spinach to get to what you could as far as just under the microscope, calcium in milk. But again, we have things in the spinach that are going to inhibit us being able to even absorb that calcium. So in the end of the day, you could eat pretty much as much spinach as you want, and you're still not getting as much calcium as you would from the milk. He goes on to say, the peanut butter sandwich example completely ignores the issue of protein quality too. So protein quality is a function of amino acid profile and bioavailability. So what specific mix of amino acids does the particular protein contain, and how bioavailable is it? Which means how readily can we digest, absorb, and utilize the protein? Scientists now use a scale called the Digestible Indispensable Amino Acid Score, or DS, to rate proteins using the amino acid profile and bioavailability criteria. And higher is better on the scale. So the DS score for eggs is 1.13, which is excellent. That's one of the highest. One of the highest scoring proteins on the scale. There you go. Beef score is 1.10, also very high scoring. And peanut butter is 0.46. One of the lowest scoring proteins on the scale. The DS score for whole wheat is 0.2, which is at the very bottom. For oats, it's 0.43, also at the very bottom. So what the scale is telling us is that animal proteins are much more higher quality than plant proteins. And that's actually true. For every animal protein that's on the scale, the DS scale is higher than every other plant protein. Okay, so let's finish this last little paragraph here. So even if you did make a peanut butter sandwich with 1/3 of a cup of peanut butter, which is just absurd, the quality of protein you'd get from that would be far inferior to that which you would get from eating beef and eggs. And I'll talk a little bit more about protein quality in the moment. So I do want to stop here and also mention that how would your digestion be if you had 1/3 a cup of peanut butter? I used to, back in my vegan days, absolutely crave protein. I simply wasn't getting enough of it in my very plant-heavy, veggie, fruit-heavy diet. And so I usually would at night binge on almond butter or cashew butter, macadamia nut butter, or just a bag of nuts. It was really the only protein source that I was eating, and I had severe digestive issues after doing this on a consistent basis. Our body isn't meant to digest that many nuts, especially in one sitting. Nuts contain a lot of anti-nutrients, a lot of phytic acid, a lot of lectins, a lot of things that really make it hard and difficult on our system to digest. Again, when people come to me and they have severe digestive issues, while I'm not someone who promotes a restrictive diet or restricting anything from our diet, I do tell them to lay off of the nut butters and to start eating things like spreading on their toast cream cheese instead of almond butter. It's just way easier on the system for us to be digesting that. And with nuts, I always tell them just use it as a tiny little topping. Like if you make a creamy cheese risotto, you can toast a little bit of pine nuts and put it on top of there. That's not in a restrictive manner. That is in understanding your body and what it can and can't not digest. Hey guys, just a quick little break here in this YouTube video. I know that a lot of you guys who watch my videos do not have your period back and are struggling with your relationship with food. I want to share with you what a Get Your Flow On course member said about joining this program and how it has helped her find food freedom and a monthly menstrual cycle. She said, quote, "Joining the Get Your Flow On course was one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. I now have the tools and supports I never knew I really needed to fully recover and move on with my life. After being in quasi-recovery for years, I never was committed enough to go all in until I met Chloe and joined the group. Interacting with the women in Chloe every day, inspiring each other and having them to lean on during difficult times makes the world of a difference. I have never been happier and can honestly say the Get Your Flow On course has made a tremendous impact on my life, health, overall well-being, and recovery journey. If you are considering joining the course, I can tell you that it will be better than anything you can imagine. Chloe's an inspiration, and I look up to her so very much. Thank you, Chloe, from the bottom of my heart for creating this beautiful space in which we can all recover and experience the freedom and joy this beautiful life has to offer." I absolutely love receiving messages like this from the girls in the group because it really just does show how impactful recovery can be in your life. I'm going to share with you guys one more little testimonial because this one was so heartwarming as well, and then we'll jump back into the video. But this lovely woman in the group said, 3 months ago I joined this community. 3 months ago, I wasn't eating anything outside of my safe foods. I was waiting to eat until a specific time. I was anxious around dairy and gluten. I was critical of my body for wanting to change. change. I was living a smaller life. My days were short and less fulfilling. In 3 months, literally insane how short of a time period that is, I'm free of food rules. I'm free of when I eat and how much I eat. I thanked Chloe before I left on this trip. She left on like a month-long trip, and it was so fun to see just the freedom that she had. And she said, because I wouldn't have one, wanted to go, or two, had the most amazing time without her community and the support from all of you. I reconnected with my psychotherapist today, and she is floored at where I am. My next goals are even bigger than just food and body, and I'm so thankful that I can be in that place. Her psychotherapist is floored at where she is at just 3 months into this program. If that's not like an amazing testimonial, I'm just like, yeah, wow, that's so amazing. I put my heart and soul into this program, giving you everything that I thought you could possibly need to go through this whole recovery process. I'm in the recovery community every single day, literally holding your hand, being there for you 24/7 to help you get to this place of recovery, because it's such a beautiful, fun place. And I literally, I would do it a million times over to get to where I am today. So if you are wanting to get the support and get the tools that you need to go through your recovery, please click the link down below and you can join and sign up. And within just a couple minutes, you can be in the group saying hi to everyone. If you have any questions about it, go ahead and send me an email or a DM on Instagram. I'm more than happy to answer any questions. All right, now let's get back into this important YouTube video. Chris Kresser goes on to talk about protein quality. He says, protein quality, as I mentioned, is a function of amino acid profile and bioavailability, and plant proteins are inferior to animal proteins on both counts. This is not controversial, period. This is not controversial, period. It's well established in the scientific literature, and it's accepted by major health and governmental organizations around the world, and it's reflected in protein quality scales like the PDCAAS, the Protein Digestibility Corrected Amino Acid Score, which is the scale used previously and is now being replaced by the DS scale, which we talked about before. No credible person has ever argued that plant proteins are inferior because they don't contain all the essential amino acids. The claim, which is backed by science, is that plant proteins have lower amounts of the essential amino acids that are important for building muscle. He goes down to say animals concentrate essential amino acids, so you get a lot more of them in a smaller amount of food, which is way easier on your digestive tract. Again, a lot of people like Fully Raw Christina who are eating these huge, large salads, these huge portions of food, right? You sometimes look at vegans and you're like, whoa, that's a lot of stuff going on there. It really does just a lot of damage to your digestive tract. We're not meant to just be eating huge bowls of kale. That really is a lot of roughage that's going to be very hard on our system, lead to constipation, lead to gas, lead to bloating, which can lead to things like SIBO and candida overgrowths and things like that, okay? So a lot of things can start to go wrong when we start to push our body out of what it really needs. Just a simple bowl of beef, some rice, some fermented veg, or maybe, whatever you have in that bowl, some nice little sauce on top, that's enough. We don't need a huge, big bowl of kale with 12 mangoes. It's just too much for our system to handle. It'd be way better to kind of concentrate our nutrients so that we don't have to eat so much roughage and so much volume so that our digestive tract can actually work properly. If you just do a quick search on YouTube, type in how to reduce bloating on a vegan diet, you're going to see thousands of videos. Why are all these vegans talking about bloating? Because they're all bloated because they're eating foods like this, that their body is simply just not able to digest because of all the roughage, because of the indigestibility of the food, the anti-nutrients. This part of the article is actually very interesting. He talks about the synergistic workings of all of these nutrients together, and how it's not just here's your calcium, here's this. It's yeah, but do you need B6 to help digest the calcium? What do you need to help digest the zinc, And all those things are going to be found more in the animal proteins. You can just go ahead and read it. So going back to this little comment here of in modern society, there's no such thing as protein deficiency, not even a medical word for it. There's no word in medical terminology for protein deficiency, which first off, I'm and I hate the word of this, it's kwashiorkor, I always hate this word, kwashiorkor disease, right? I hate this word, but that is protein deficiency. So I'm like, there's medical terminology, but I do want to say, okay, if this is what they're talking about, is that, you know, protein deficiency hasn't even been something that has been like wildly talked about in our medical kind of field. I just want to go back out there and say it's because we humans weren't ever before like 2005 thinking about only eating plant foods. It was kind of just like, you ate animal foods, you ate, you know, dairy, you ate those type of things. And so it's like, yeah, if you're eating those things, it's going to be very hard to become protein deficient. So we're not even going to talk about that in our system. But here comes diet culture. Here comes this obsession with plant-based nutrition. And we have all these people now just mono-mealing on fruit all day. So yes, there is such a thing called protein deficiency. It can happen to you. Don't let it happen, because it's not a fun thing to happen. So someone actually responded, and she's like, LOL, yes, there is. It's called, I hate the word, so they said it for me, kwashiorkor and marasmus, and they're directly caused by protein deficiency. And then this person responded, what you mentioned are not protein deficiencies only. Those diseases, so you are admitting that it is a protein deficiency, but okay. Those diseases refer to malnutrition, which include not having most of the nutrition substances, including proteins, amongst other missing substances. So protein deficiency only doesn't exist. Okay, so those diseases refer to malnutrition. I'm like, exactly, that is our point. You eat a diet like this that literally is lacking in choline and cholesterol and saturated fat and B12 and like all of these things, right? That is malnutrition. So this is going to be leading to also protein deficiency. Like, those diseases refer to malnutrition. I'm like, that is the point. She is eating a diet that is literally just not supportive enough. It doesn't have all the nutrients, just like you said. Not having most of the nutrition substances, including proteins, that you need. I'm like, exactly, that is our point. Thank you for making it for us. And again, I see other people here being like, plenty of protein in fruits. Everything we eat has protein. I'm sorry, you can't eat a watermelon expecting to get your protein content. You know, I think that a lot of people kind of equate veganism with people like Simon Hill from Plant Proof and Rich Roll, who are like these bodybuilders, athletic men who have been vegan for a while and they are like built, right? And we think, wow, you can like, you know, build muscle and you're eating enough protein on a vegan diet. And we look at that and we go, yeah, wow, look at them. They're healthy, they're strong, blah, blah, blah. But like, those are the exception. That is not the rule. I think we see this and we think that this is what that is going to happen when we start just eating watermelon for breakfast and doing celery juice and eating iceberg lettuce with like an herb dressing, no oil or anything. I think that this is what we think we're going to get. But in reality, what most vegans end up looking like is this. Very little muscle mass. They aren't eating enough protein, and you can tell. Back when I was vegan, it's like I couldn't, no matter how much I was at the gym, I couldn't progress, I couldn't build muscle. It was really, really, really hard for me. And that was back in my days of eating enough calories as someone who was vegan and not doing anything crazy like a raw vegan diet or anything like that. That was just me being more of a balanced vegan, tons of chickpeas, tons of lentils, tons of things like that, and I just couldn't grow muscle. All of a sudden, I start actually just eating steak, and now I'm just like my legs are so strong, and I can run so much faster, and I have muscle definition. You can see it. Back when I was vegan, no. So a lot of vegans end up looking like this, and it's like, there's not enough muscle definition here. We look at someone like Fully Raw Christina, and over the years, you've seen her kind of just deteriorate more and more and more. She's getting skinnier and skinnier every single year. And it's not just losing body fat, guys, it is losing muscle mass, which I just did a post on Instagram about the other day of how important muscle mass is. So I talked about how when I went vegan, I thought that I was losing weight, but then over the years, I realized that, oh my gosh, I was actually losing a bunch of muscle mass, and how dangerous that is. So you can kind of read that post here or go and click down on my Instagram and go find it. But I think that that's really important to understand. So this video obviously I knew was going to be a long run, and we're rambling on here, and I feel like there's a million other things that I could say, but I just wanted to point out that, again, just because Caroline is pregnant doesn't mean that she is healthy. There were so many people in the comment section being like, she got pregnant, so that obviously means that she's in a healthy state. I'm like, no, that doesn't mean that. You can be in a malnourished state and you can still get pregnant. Is it harder? Yes. Is it not going to work for a lot of people? Totally. Is it possible? 1000%. Again, I've seen it happen time and time and time again. Now, what happens afterwards is what gets really scary, is that the mom becomes very malnourished after pregnancy, and maybe baby starts lacking a lot of nutrition coming from the milk, and then the baby can start having growth issues. I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen. I'm just saying that it's a big risk to choose to be vegan, especially vegan in this way, where it's like a lot of just those detox foods, the celery juice, the smoothies, the fruits, the things like that, when it's like, at least please just like eat some toast, put like olive oil on it, and eat a little bit more substance. Now, I'll end with this. Someone went ahead and commented, she said, go ahead and send the vegan police my way. But I have to say, this ain't okay. It's giving ED and unborn baby negligence and malnutrition. Seriously saddens me to see people promoting this and have such a large following. Let's see if someone responded here. What did they say? They said, it's crazy, next to zero proteins and good fats for her and her unborn child. Yeah, it's really crazy. It's really unfortunate. Let's see what other people are saying. We could go on for hours and hours and hours about this. If you are wanting to hear a conversation that I had with Dani Rohde, she is a perinatal nutritionist. She's worked in this field for a long time. She's worked with thousands of ladies. We have had 2 really good conversations on my YouTube channel talking about the dangers of a plant-based diet as you go through pregnancy. She has seen the aftermath, guys. She has seen a lot of women who decide to try and do their pregnancy vegan, and she's seen it just go wrong too many times. And so I highly recommend going and watching that. Again, I will just link everything down below in the description box for you guys to easily find. I hope that Caroline obviously is okay and that her baby is well. I do not wish harm or anything upon anyone, okay? This is simply a video of me sharing my thoughts so that you guys can become more informed about what choice to make with your own body. I never tell anyone what to do. I'm simply just bringing up facts and opinions and my own experience for you guys to then go and be the judge of that and decide what is right for you. I went through my whole vegan phase, okay? I was vegan for a solid 5 years and another year before that, so total 6 years, and it really destroyed my health. I haven't felt healthier being someone who eats animal products. It is a huge part of my diet now, and I wouldn't I couldn't imagine not having them as a daily staple, not just a once in a lifetime thing. I literally eat red meat multiple times a week. I do tons of liver and patés. I do at least 2 eggs a day. I'm buttering everything. I have, lots of cream, sauces, and put cheese on my food and all of that. Animal products have been such an important part of me nutritionally rehabilitating from years of eating disorders and from the 11 years of amenorrhea. So I didn't have a period for 11 years, and it wasn't until I left veganism and started eating animal products that my hormones actually became balanced again. So this is just my 2 cents here. Again, if you want more information like this, please go ahead and subscribe. I really appreciate every single like. And if you are ready to take steps into full recovery, then click the link down below to join the Get Your Flow On course. It is the place where I am mentoring people every single day on how to get to a healthier place. All right, guys, thank you for watching this video, and I will see you in my next one.